Hey, this is Andy here with Libertarian Revolution, and today I'm at the Libertarian Party of California State Convention for 2018, and I'm joined by a guest who is running for LNC Chairman, Joshua Smith. Can you tell me a little bit about how you got involved in the Libertarian Party and libertarianism? Like, how did you get started?
Yeah, absolutely. I served in the United States Navy 2001, right after September 11th attacks. I decided to join the Navy and go out and protect my country, and I spent a lot of time over in the Persian Gulf. I was in the Persian Gulf when George Bush declared war, and I saw a lot of wasteful spending and loss of innocent human lives, and it really kind of jaded me on the military-industrial complex. Sometime later, when I got out about 2005 to 2007, somewhere in there, I heard Ron Paul speaking. Mm-hmm. And you'd be hard pressed to find someone in my generation who didn't come to liberty by the way of Ron Paul. And he was speaking exactly how I felt. He was anti-foreign intervention. He was anti-Fed. He was trying to end the drug war. This was all good stuff to me. And at the time, I was registered Republican. I didn't really see a home for me in the Republican Party, but I supported Ron Paul, so I campaigned behind Ron Paul. 2008, 2012, but sometime in 2010 or 11, I found the Libertarian Party through people that were doing activism like Adam Kokesh and the likes, and so I started looking really heavily into the party. I was here in California, and I joined the party, but I was never given a direction for my activism. No one ever reached out to me. I reached out.
What year was that you joined the LP?
It was 2010.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I never found. I never found a direction for my activism. Nobody ever reached out to me. I reached out to National a couple times. No one ever gave me the tools that I needed and enabled the passionate activism that I had. And so I think I stayed with the party for about 3 months, dropped my donations, continued my own brand of activism for quite some time. I founded Think Liberty with a couple of friends. It's a very successful internet publication for liberty. We gained about 18,000 followers in 8 months. So we've done pretty well. About 2 years ago, I decided, I had moved to Washington State. I decided I wanted to get involved with the party again. I saw some good things. I saw some good activists. So I went down to my local meetup, became the communications manager immediately for my local affiliate, went to my state convention, became a region rep for the Libertarian Party of Washington at my first state convention. I took over a region that had 5 counties. That only had 1 county affiliate, and since then we've been able to start building 2 new affiliates. We got a local city councilman elected in one of the counties, and I found a county affiliate that was completely forgot about from the state party, so we're getting them back into the fold. So we're building a nice Southern Washington libertarian movement, and back in September, I saw this national leadership team that kind of was in these battles for infamy, and people didn't feel like they were reflecting their activism, and so I decided I was going to put out a challenge and run for national chair and see what happens. And since then, I've been to this is my 14th state convention in the last 16 weeks. I've shaken over 1,000 hands. I've heard about the fears and the goals of our delegates and our members, and I really think with the right people surrounding me and the vision that I have and the blueprint that I have for the party, that we can be a much more successful force for liberty in America.
Yeah, I've been with the Libertarian Party for a long time, since the 1990s, and I've seen the party go through ups and downs. Now, when I came in the party at a young age back in 1996, the party was growing. I think it had around 14,000 members, and then between 1996 and 2000, it went up to 33,000 dues-paying members, which was the peak size in terms of dues-paying membership for the Libertarian Party. Well, now membership's gone down, and it's never been that high since then. And last year during the presidential election, it went up to 20,000, but then coming into this year, last year, 2017 rather, about 5,500 people or so didn't renew their dues. And so now, what do you have any specific proposals or plans to increase the number of dues-paying members to the party?
Yeah, so actually, it's funny. I'm an analyst guy. I like to look at the stats. And from January to August of last year, we had a 24% net loss of paid memberships in the National Party. That's unacceptable to me. And you'll hear a lot of excuses of that. This is after an election year, so a lot of people join, and then they don't stay around. They take off. They let their dues lapse. I'm tired of excuses. I want to hear solutions. So yeah, absolutely. I think making our activists feel like they're a real part of our process is really important. That's why I want to, have some digital media upgrades. I want to start doing a national podcast from the National Media Hub. We have 800,000 followers on our National Digital Media Hub, and we're not using it to the best of its ability. I want our LNC members to do video blogs for their regions, especially let people know like once a month what we're doing, what they can do, what campaigns they can work on, because people get involved in these campaigns, people get involved in the party processes, and when that window's open, they don't want to close the window anymore. They want to keep working, So if we can, like I said, if we can reflect the activism of our hardest working activists at a national level, people are going to stick around, and we're going to continue to bring people into the movement. On top of that, I'm really big into the crypto community. I've been doing a lot of outreach and coalition building with people in the crypto community, some of the bigger crypto companies, some people from Nexus Earth and whatnot. And there is billions of dollars wrapped up in the crypto community and millions of people. And those millions of people make up a large percentage of the people in this country that are not voting right now. And they don't see a home for their causes. They don't have a voice for their political causes, which is a decentralized currency that is circumventing the federal government. And so I really want to fight for their causes. Last week at the LNC meeting, we got a blockchain committee instituted into the Libertarian Party. We're the first party to start fighting for those causes and looking for blockchain solutions for party stuff. And so we're going to get out a press release. We're going to let the old parties know, hey, we're beating you, and we're going to fight for these causes. And I believe that's going to bring lots and lots and lots of people to the party, and it's going to change our financial status. Because we raised $2.2 million in 2016, while the DNC raised $400 million. It's unacceptable. We can't operate as a political party if we're not going to raise funds and have volunteers. So I think that's a big deal.
Interesting that you brought up blockchain and cryptocurrency. I'm actually the one who got the Libertarian Party National Party to accept donations in Bitcoin. It was actually my idea, and I was posting about it online, and Starchild, who was on the LNC, read my post about why the LNC should accept Bitcoin. He brought it to an LNC meeting, and there was some back and forth discussion. There were several LNC members that were skeptical, and I told them how they can convert their Bitcoin into Federal Reserve notes, and for reporting to the FEC. And anyway, the Libertarian, and it passed. There were several people that were against it, but it ended up narrowly passing, and it turned out to be a success. The party actually started raising thousands and thousands of dollars in Bitcoin, and as I'm sure you're aware, there's now over 1,500 cryptocurrencies, and so you definitely want to bring in, and also here's another thing about cryptocurrency: the people who are into cryptocurrency, a higher percentage than compared to the rest of the population are libertarian or libertarian-leaning people. So the way I look at it, the Democrats, or the Federal Reserve System and their fiat currency already has two political parties. They got the Democrats and Republicans. We should be the party of cryptocurrency and gold and silver.
And blockchain. I mean, blockchain solutions are huge. I mean, we can use blockchain for our voting system. That gives us a chance to let our hardest working activists that can't make it to the national convention vote from their computer. Now they're involved in our party processes. And that's so important to me that I get everyone involved. I want people involved. But crypto brings a lot of people together in this country. We may have one or two different policies that we think are different, but at the end of the day, we're all trying to circumvent the federal government, and that's a very libertarian cause. Yeah, absolutely. We need to start fighting it. We're the only party that can fight for it. Literally, we are. The other two parties will always push back against cryptocurrency. So. Yeah. Now
you were talking about the Libertarian National Party doing what was it? A video podcast?
A podcast.
Yeah. Now, one of the ways the Libertarian Party, here's the way I look at it. Libertarian Party largely gets shut out of the mainstream TV media. We're largely shut out of mainstream newspapers and widely read magazines, and widely shut off of the radio. So that leaves two ways left to reach people. One, the internet, and number two, going and talking to people in person. And I feel like the Libertarian Party is falling short in both of those areas. I was looking at the Libertarian Party's YouTube page, and they started the YouTube channel way back in like 2006 or 2007, shortly after YouTube came out. And they only had, and this was just recently I looked at this, they only have 844,000 views.
Right.
They only have one video that's got a significant number of views. It had like 115,000 views, and it was like the first video they ever posted. A lot of the videos are only like 200 views, 300 views, And I feel like just to put that in comparison, I'm going to name some other people who were libertarian or libertarian leaners, and tell you how many approximate YouTube subscribers and views they have. Adam Kokesh has like 229,000 subscribers. He's got like 65 million views. Luke Rudkowski started We Are Change. he's got like 515,000 subscribers and 105 million views. Okay, Tom Woods has got over 40,000 subscribers, and I can't remember exactly, he's got in the millions of views, and that doesn't include his podcast. That's just for his YouTube channel. Anyway, what are you going to do to increase the number of hits that the Libertarian Party YouTube page gets?
Right, well, we have to use our, like I said in the beginning, we have to use our social media more efficiently. We're just not. It's one of the most important media outlets right now is all social media, and YouTube's one of the biggest. So I really think that we need to start making videos again, because they don't make a whole lot of videos. If they put a video up, it's usually of some boring meeting that no one cares about. You know, so we got to start making video blogs and letting people know what's going on with the party, and doing commercials, you know, advertisements, and we need to start sharing those. Our Facebook page for the National Party has 800,000 followers. Why are we sharing our videos from YouTube onto our Facebook page?
Good question.
You want to start getting subscribers, start asking libertarians to subscribe. You know, libertarians don't do anything until they're asked to do it.
Yeah.
It's how it works. It's what we do, you know, and it's voluntary. We're a voluntary ideology. So we go out, we ask these libertarians, hey, go like our Facebook page, go like our YouTube page, and please share what you can. You know, we share one video to the national Facebook page, that's 800,000 potential viewers on one video. So yeah, I think we need to just start using it more efficiently.
And what do you think of the idea? This is an idea I've had a while ago of having contests for like who can make the best YouTube video.
Yeah.
Maybe periodically say, hey, we want to do a video on gun rights or on jury nullification or on whatever issue, and have a contest. Maybe offer some sort of a prize or something. You know?
Yeah, that'd be great. And there's a lot of people in this party, and there's even some of the staff members and stuff that have these amazing, great ideas like that all the time. But the National Party never puts them to use. You know, so that's another reason why I want to make people feel like they're part of the process, because then we have, you know, instead of having 17 people coming up with ideas, we have 18,000 people coming up with ideas, and that's, you know, the more ideas the better. I'm an ideas guy. I think, you know, there's people in the Libertarian Party have great ideas how to move this party forward, and I want to listen to every single one I possibly can, and that's great stuff. You know, if we can have a competition that breeds success for us, you know, competition breeds success. As libertarians, we know that. So yeah, it's a great idea. I would love to see that.
Now, another way libertarians can reach people, the other one, you know, I said that we're largely shut out of mainstream TV, radio, and mainstream newspapers and stuff, but we have the internet and we have in person and, you know, boots on the ground field activism. And I feel like the Libertarian Party is falling short in that area as well. Now, I've been involved in ballot access for a long time, going back to the year 2000, you know, getting petition signatures to get the Libertarian Party and candidates on the ballot in various states. And here's something that, you know, a lot of people may not be aware of, and something that I've been blowing the whistle about for years, and unfortunately nobody really has done much of anything about it. And that is, did you know that the majority of the money that the Libertarian Party spends on ballot access goes to signature gatherers who are not even libertarians?
Right.
And I feel like it is more valuable to have actual libertarians doing this work, and because for the average person, a lot of people have never even spoken to a libertarian before. A lot of people will never talk to our candidates. A lot of people don't even know who the candidates are. They don't know who the chair of the party is. They don't know anything. So as far as a lot of the public's concerned, the petition circulator that they run into is the public face of the party for a lot of people. And so I went through the LNC Federal Elections Commission report in it was like a few years ago. It was like 2012 or 2016. And I found that about 75 to 80% of the ballot access funds were being spent on hiring people that were not even libertarians. And I've been saying to libertarians on the LNC for years, why don't you try to recruit more libertarians to do this work? Now, we have a small handful of libertarians who have done a lot of this work, and all the statistics show, and you can go back for many years on this, that libertarians tend to get a higher validity rate on signatures collected than non-libertarians. You know, the state can disqualify signatures on various technicalities. And so they'll say, like, your validity is 75%, which is good. Your validity is 70%, which is good, or 80%, or whatever. And then you might say somebody's validity is 40%, which is not good.
Right.
Okay, well, anyway, number one, these people, which I would call non-libertarian mercenaries, they tend to get lower validity. Number two, some of them actually misrepresent the party to the public, right, either because they're ignorant, they don't know anything about the party, or they're just liars who are looking to tell people anything to get them to sign a petition. And I've seen this happen. I've seen people go out and say that the Libertarian Party petition was a petition for free health care or something, or to increase the minimum wage, or they'll have the wording, legal language covered up, and they'll tell them something else, and people can't read it, and then they'll just sign, and they don't even know what they sign.
Right.
So this stuff like this has gone on for a long time, and nobody does anything about it. Now, the Libertarian Party has a national office staff, which I believe has 12 people. Now, as far as I know, all 12 of them are actually libertarians. So the point I'm making is, why can't the Libertarian Party find maybe 12 or 15 people who are libertarians to go collect petition signatures?
No, I agree fully.
Yes.
I agree fully. Look, I was just at the LNC meeting last weekend. We were talking quite a bit about ballot access. We have a couple different states that are fighting for ballot access right now: Ohio, Illinois, Tennessee. Right now, Illinois, their state party went out and got their own volunteers, libertarians. They're doing great. They have like an 85% validity rate. It's beautiful. Right? They're kicking butt and taking names. We dumped some money into Tennessee for a company to go and do ballot access.
Who was the company?
I don't remember the name of the company, but they haven't even started. And they're having this argument at the LNC meeting. Well, are they going to start? Are they going to do this? We already gave them money. No, I 100% think
they should never give anyone money in advance for something like that.
No, they shouldn't. And here's the thing: we should have libertarians doing ballot access. We are a group of people that loves to educate the public on our ideologies and our principles and our policies for the party. So the people that should be out there getting signatures should be knowledgeable enough to let the public know, hey, this is what we're about. This is what you're signing up for. Please help us get ballot access so we can fight the two-party system. Yeah, I absolutely 100%.
Yeah, it's like, would you want to have people working at the Libertarian National Office that are not libertarians?
No.
Would you want to hire Democrats or Republicans or just apolitical mercenaries? I wouldn't.
Nope.
So I think, in my opinion, that there needs to be a concerted effort to recruit more libertarians to go out and collect petition signatures. And, there's nothing wrong with paying somebody if they're doing something productive that needs to be done.
And there's a lot of libertarians that will work for money.
Yes. Yes.
We are the party of trade, We are the party of capitalism. Yeah, I think, myself included. I mean, I'd go out and collect signatures today if they needed me to, and I'd do it for free if I had to. There's, we have plenty of libertarians that need some money, and we got plenty of states that need ballot access. I don't understand.
Yeah, and when I say libertarians, I would even reach out beyond the Libertarian Party, because most libertarians are small L libertarians. They're either not registered to vote, or maybe they're even registered under some other banner. They're trying to go the Ron Paul Republican route or something.
And now we're getting people involved in the process that are not currently into party politics.
Yes. And then you got to look at there's Students for Liberty and there's Young Americans for Liberty. They're both campus libertarian clubs.
Libertarian Youth Caucus. There's quite a few, and I've talked pretty extensively about this. I would like to take something like the Libertarian Youth Caucus, just as a sidebar here, and absorb them. I would like to have a youth libertarian national committee, have their own committee, their own resources, their own fundraising, and they do the campus outreach. That would be beautiful. Then they're part of our process. They can report to us, let us know what kind of resources they need, what's working, what's not working. Now we're working in the youth, which is really, really important for us. I think that's going to be the future of the Libertarian Party. We need to start reaching out to them now. So and ballot access petitioning around colleges is a great idea.
I was just actually about to bring something up about that. I've done a lot of libertarian ballot access petitioning at colleges, and I've run into students who are members of Young Americans for Liberty or Students for Liberty, which are two campus libertarian clubs. I've even gone to some of their meetings and talked to these people, and you know something? Most of them are not members of the Libertarian Party, and most of them have never even had an LP member come to their meetings.
Right.
And these people are already they're already libertarians. And so I think there needs to be more focus put on sending libertarians to these college campuses to talk to these people who already agree with us and get them into the Libertarian Party.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Very, very, very important. I'm a big outreach guy. We talked a lot about that. I like building coalitions and doing outreach, and I think if we can reach out to the college circuit, we're going to change the focus, not the focus of the party, but the direction of the party. We're going to take the party in a more successful direction, which is what we've needed to do for 46 years.
Yeah, because the young people are generally more open-minded. They haven't been totally set in their ways yet. So if you can get the libertarian ideas planted in them at a younger age, they might be more likely to listen to it. And even if they don't become libertarians right away, some of them might later down the road.
It's even. I mean, right now we're showing the 18 to 25-year-olds are more in tune with liberty principles than any generation for the last 20 years. And so if we're not reaching out to them to let them know, hey, you have a political party that is supporting your cause, what are we doing? So yeah, absolutely. I think it's paramount that we start reaching out to the campus and youth outreach right now.
Now, I had an idea years ago, doing through ballot access work, of coming up with a contact list where if you run into somebody while you're in the field and they say, "Oh, I'm a libertarian," or maybe you're telling them about libertarian for the first time, you give them a world's smallest political quiz and they score libertarian and they act like they're interested. So I've done this for a few years. And that is asking them after they sign the petition, and I don't ask everybody, I only ask the people who sound like they would be interested, that have expressed, that said, "I am a libertarian," or when I told them what a libertarian was, that they said, "Yeah, that's cool, that sounds like what I am." Okay, then ask them, "Hey, could you sign this contact sheet with your name and email address and phone number?" And then I've actually donated these to various state parties and the national parties. I don't even know how many I've given them, but I've probably easily a couple thousand or something at least, just over the last few years. And I've talked to some people on the LNC and at the national office about, hey, why isn't everybody doing this?
Right.
Because you figure you're spending all this money on ballot access, you have all these people going out all over the country talking to thousands and thousands, actually millions of people, really, because not everybody's going to sign. You might get 1 out of 10 or to sign. So to get 100 signatures, you might have to talk to 1,000 people. Okay, so that's a good way. And I said, so why don't you put like a PDF version of a contact sheet on the page so people can download this and encourage them to go out and get sign-ups so we can add these people to the Libertarian Party database. Well, guess what? Nobody's done it. People said they act like it's a good idea. Nobody's done it.
Yeah.
And I have no explanation as to why.
There's a lot of great ideas in the Libertarian Party that don't get enacted. And that's one of the reasons why I decided to run. I believe that we need a leadership team that's going to listen to our members and take those kind of ideas to heart. And yeah, the more sign, you think even the lowest donation amount, that's $15 a month per person. We're changing the financial outcome of our party by just reaching out, taking 2 minutes to make a phone call.
Yeah, and the thing I think, so one person said, well, not everybody's going to join the party just because they signed a contact sheet. That's true.
Very true.
They're not all going to join the party, but certainly you could get some of them.
Yeah, 1 out of every 20.
Or 1 out of 10, even if you got 1 out of 10. Yeah.
New member to this party is a potential activist, a potential candidate, a potential state chair, a potential local county chair. Every single person is potential for this party, and we need to treat them like they are.
Well, another thing is that even if somebody doesn't join the party, like libertarians have no way of communicating with the small L libertarian base in this country. And so I think they should try to build a database of as many small L libertarians as possible, just for purposes of communicating with them. And maybe they don't want to be in the Libertarian Party right now, but maybe 4 or 5 years from now, something will happen that will change their mind. Especially if they see the Libertarian Party is doing something, and they see maybe they're on the email list, and maybe they get a video every once in a while that's of libertarians doing activism or something, and maybe sometime down the road they'll be inspired to join. Now, anyway, another subject that I'm really big on is jury nullification. I think that should be one of the biggest issues for the Libertarian Party, and it's one of the most important issues that hardly anybody ever talks about. Because if we had fair jury trials in this country, I'm not saying we'd be 100% perfectly libertarian, but certainly this country would be a lot more libertarian than it is right now, because the government would have a really hard time enforcing the war on drugs and gun control laws and other victimless crimes. So I tried to get the Libertarian National Party to get big on board with jury nullification. I said they should have something about it on the National Party website. They should put out a video about it. They should have like a downloadable official libertarian flyer or pamphlet, not from FIJA, but from the Libertarian Party on the subject. And they should encourage members to talk about it, and people who are on the LNC or candidates should, make a plug for jury nullification while they're talking to the media. Anyway, what's your opinion on jury nullification? Do you think that should become a big issue for the Libertarian Party?
I do, and I believe that because when as we know in this country, if a district attorney does not think they can win a case, typically they do not prosecute. And so, yeah, absolutely. I think it's a really big issue. I've talked several times with Jake Whitmer on the phone about it.
Okay.
And just another little sidebar, I would like to have people who are experts on policy informing the LNC and our candidates on policy. And having somebody like Jake or yourself.
He's one of the most knowledgeable people on jury nullification.
Having someone like Jake or yourself who is on call for that kind of stuff will be huge for our party. I talked to Scott Horton, who's the big anti-war foreign policy guy, right? And he said, if you win chair, I'll join the party Party and I'll advocate for you guys on foreign policy. That's huge. We need people who are smart about policy. You know, I don't know a lot about jury nullification. I don't know a lot about law. You know, I'm not a lawyer. You know, Nick is, which so you think he'd be pushing the jury nullification. But I really think that, yeah, jury nullification should be at the forefront of our policies that we talk about. So.
Now, here's another issue, and that is getting libertarians elected. Going back into the 90s, the Libertarian Party elected 4 state legislators in New Hampshire. And they also had, back in the 80s, I believe, was 4 state legislators in Alaska. And the last time the Libertarian Party elected anyone to a seat in a state legislature was in 2000, which I believe was in Vermont. But about a few months into this person's term, they actually switched to Republicans. So the last time the Libertarian Party elected anybody to a seat in the state legislature that actually filled their term out as a Libertarian was in 1998. Now, the Libertarian Party has 4 state legislators right now, 3 in New Hampshire, 1 in Nebraska, but none of them were actually elected as Libertarians. Now, they're running for re-election as Libertarians, but they were not elected as Libertarians. Now, the Libertarian Party, what do you think about that? And actually, as far as local offices go, back in the 80s, there was a town called Bigwater, Utah. Where do you know about Bigwater, Utah?
A little bit.
Yeah, that's where Libertarians kind of like took over the town for a period of about 2 years. They had the office of mayor, and they had a majority on the city council. Now, unfortunately, it was a small town in Utah. It was back in the 80s, so there was no internet back then, so a lot of people didn't know about it. Anyway, what do you think that there should be more of a focus put on libertarians getting elected to these lower offices like state legislature, city council, and county commission, and a major one is county sheriff? What's your plan to get more libertarians elected? Oh, and I also want to talk about how the Libertarian Party has declined. Okay, they were electing more and more people to these offices in the 90s and into the early 2000s. By 2003, the Libertarian Party had over 600 people elected to office across the country. Now, here we are in 2018. Last time I checked, the Libertarian Party had around, and this was just a few months ago, had around 170 people in elected offices. So we have less than a third of what we had 15 years ago.
Right.
What is your plan to change that, to get libertarians elected to these offices?
Well, I'm glad you asked. I talk about it all the time. I'm happy to talk about it again. I have ran an entire campaign platform around grassroots activism. I believe that we need to start from the bottom up. I believe that state legislators are paramount for us because they can get into office and affect change almost immediately. You know, they can start trying to kill bad bills right away. So I like to look to the state of Florida right now. The LPF has a new program that they're running called Operation First Step. I think it's beautiful. They have offices all across the board, like water and soil. There's some of these offices that have not been contested or had an election in 40 years, and they're running people all across the state for these positions. I think we get into some of these smaller positions and we show that we can be viable, we can represent our constituency, and we can move that liberty needle, and people are going to start voting for us. We get the name recognition out there. You know, we have sitting officers that are elected all over the country, and I think that's the first step. The second step is we got to raise more money. We got to raise more money. We can't put money into elections and into election support and candidate support when we don't have any money. We're running a $60,000 deficit right now in the Party of Fiscal Responsibility. So I think we really need to focus our efforts on candidate support and making sure that our candidates feel like they have enough support to run. You know, education for our candidates, because a lot of us, like you and I, we have this message. We know the message. We're solid on the message. But a lot of our candidates that are running, they don't know how to door knock. They don't know how to fundraise. They don't know how to get support. They don't know how to get a campaign manager. They don't know how to find volunteers. So educating them on how to do that's going to be really huge for us winning elections and going into 2020. So
now, you know what's happening in Frostproof, Florida? They've got 2 libertarians elected to the city council. It's a 5-man council. They get 1 more libertarian on there, and we got a town run by libertarians. Right. Were you aware of that?
I know a little bit about it. I talk to the LPF quite frequently. I know quite a few people down there, but that kind of stuff's beautiful. The more we can do that, the better, you know.
Because one question people ask is, what do libertarians run? You know what I mean? And yeah, obviously as libertarians we want to set people free, but we're trying to take over the government so we could set people free. And anyway, so that's a common question people ask is, because here's what often happens. A libertarian, run for office, they lose, or they run for office, they get elected, but they're on some local board and they're outvoted by Democrats and Republicans. So there's thousands of government boards across this country at the city and county level and of course the state legislature, and libertarians currently run 0 of them. You know what I mean? So do you think there should be a priority put on libertarians taking over a, say, small town council or a low population county commission or county board of supervisors?
Yeah, absolutely. And even some of the lower population states, we see what's happening in New Hampshire with the Free State Project. You know, they have 3 sitting state legislators there. Their state legislators make $1,000 a year, so it's not all their elections are super heavily contested. So I think we start looking at some of those smaller areas and taking over little things that we can, like county commissions and city councils, and then we look to states like Rhode Island that has less than 1 million people. We move 12 people there, we could start taking over the state. You know?
Yeah.
They ran a state rep there, Libertarian, that got almost 30% of the vote a couple years ago. You know, so yeah, I mean, we definitely need to start thinking smaller, and on a smaller scale, and a bottom-up organization.
Are you familiar with the deputism plan? Have you ever heard of this?
I have not. No.
Okay, that's the concept of libertarians electing a sheriff, and then the sheriff can appoint libertarians as deputies,
Right.
thereby taking over law enforcement in a county. Now, I've long thought that this is a plan that libertarians should implement, because being abused and having your rights violated by law enforcement is a really big and growing problem in this country.
Right.
And and also the deputies don't have to live in the county. And they don't even necessarily have to be full-time deputies. And the libertarian sheriff can deputize whoever he wants. Do you think that libertarians should put a great focus on electing a sheriff?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And
including the deputizing plan specifically.
Yeah, I don't see why not. I think that's a beautiful idea. You know, if we can get law enforcement to stop violating people's rights, that would be really, really great. I also think that, you know, some of the judicial roles as well is something that we forget about, you know. So yeah, absolutely, that's a great idea. Yeah, I support it fully. If we could get a sheriff candidate running in every state, that'd be awesome.
Now, Washington is under top 2 primary,
Correct.
as is California, and that's a really terrible election law. I know there's been a small handful of cases. I think you talked about one in Washington where a legislator did make it through the top 2 primary, but it doesn't happen very often.
Right.
There was a ballot initiative filed here last year to eliminate top 2 primary and make the election the way it was before top 2 was implemented. Unfortunately, they didn't raise hardly any money and it didn't make the ballot, and now it's past the deadline. Do you think there should be some kind of effort put into initiatives to or lawsuits or ballot initiatives or whatever, but repealing top 2 primary in Washington and in California, and stopping top 2 primary from being passed in any other states?
Yeah, I've been very vocal about top 2. I think that it hurts our causes. You know, when we don't have as much name recognition, and people know that only 2 people are going to make it to the general. Yeah, it really hurts our causes, and I would totally, you know, sponsor myself. I would sponsor any kind of initiative that somebody was trying to fight top 2 here in California or Washington or wherever else they have it. Yeah, absolutely. That's something we need to focus on. We need to focus on, you know, election laws, because they're hurting our candidates. They were specifically designed to hurt third-party candidates. That's what they do. And so yeah, the party should put some focus on that stuff. Absolutely.
Now, there's been a new caucus formed in the Libertarian Party called the Mises Caucus. Right. Now, I like the Mises Caucus myself. I like the Ludwig von Mises Institute, and I've been reading, you know, LouRockwell.com for years, and anyway, but you know, there's some people in the party that have kind of freaked out over the Mises Institute, and there's all kinds of stories going around. Oh, the Mises Institute they're Nazis, or they're racist, and they're fascist, and they're freaking out. Are you a member of the Mises Caucus?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah. I was the first endorsed candidate they had. They list me on the website as the Washington State coordinator for it. Look, they're not white nationalists. In fact, we've kicked several white nationalists out that made it into the Facebook group. You know, it's a new caucus, relatively new caucus. They've grown super fast. They had some growing pains. They had leadership that was very excited to wake people up and bring a new passion to the party. And so sometimes they put the cart before the horse. But at the end of the day, they have a really noble cause. And that's to wake up all the Ron Paul and Mises libertarians that are currently not in the party. They're currently not coming to help our causes because they don't feel like they have a home here. They don't feel like they've been welcomed. And what they're doing is they're making them feel welcome. They're giving them a voice in modern politics, and that's huge. The more people we can bring to the party, the better. You know, and these people are libertarians. You know, you can call them whatever names you want all day. At the end of the day, they are libertarians. They are fighting to roll back the size and scope of intrusive government. And yeah, absolutely, I support their cause, and I think it's a noble one.
Now, I got heavily involved in the Ron Paul revolution. I was involved in the Libertarian Party first, and then I found out about Ron Paul back in the 90s 90s through the Libertarian Party, so I was kind of following Ron Paul before it was cool to follow Ron Paul. But anyway, the Ron Paul revolution was really the biggest he was running as a Republican, but it was basically running a libertarian campaign in the Republican Party. And he got a lot of people motivated, and still to this day, when I talk about libertarian with the general public, that's the name they bring up more than anybody else, is Ron Paul. Why do you think the Libertarian Party has failed to capitalize on that, bringing all these Ron Paul people into the party? And then I'm going to put another side question to that. And my personal opinion, and the opinion of a lot of other people, is that the last 3 presidential tickets that the Libertarian Party has run have been pretty philosophically weak and have turned off a lot of people who were Ron Paul supporters or otherwise just more hardcore libertarians. What is your take on that, and how can we recapture the Ron Paul revolution in the Libertarian Party, the spirit of the Ron Paul revolution?
I think the Mises Caucus is waking up the Ron Paul revolution right now. That's what they're doing. You know, I think that the Ron Paul revolution hasn't felt like they've had a home in the party for quite some time, because we're doing things like we have a vice chair who's being inflammatory towards military veterans. Ron Paul had the #1 contributions from active duty service members and veterans in that campaign.
Yeah.
So that's a big voter base for us is veterans. I'm a veteran myself, and I believe that if we're going to be inflammatory to our voting base, we're not going to keep them around. And so I think the fact that we've been inflammatory, we've called Ron Paul revolution supporters, Republicans trying to be libertarians. We got to stop with the name calling.
Well, I think that Ron Paul was more hardcore libertarian than anybody who's been on the LP presidential ticket since 2004 when Michael Badnarik ran. I came in with, I don't know if are you familiar with Harry Brown or Michael Badnarik also?
I'm a big fan of Harry Brown and Michael Badnarik.
Okay, well that was back when I thought we had really good, strong libertarian candidates, and I just think on the presidential ticket it's just been really weak since then. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons why more of these Ron Paul revolutionary type people haven't come into the LP.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. A lot of people view some of the things that we've done over the last 8 years as drop-in principles, and sure, maybe that might be the case, but I think we can get back to principles.
Now,
that's really, really important.
Why do you think some people are freaking out so much over the Mises Caucus?
I think we've had a huge influx of people come over from the left or the right or wherever they come from, and so they're not so used to hearing that straight line principle. After the 2 Gary Johnson campaigns and whatnot, people are a little bit softer on principle, and so I think that they hear Mises Institute or Mises Caucus, they automatically start thinking about like Hans Hermann Hoppe, and they don't realize that there's been a lot of people who came through that institute. And there's a lot of people in the Ron Paul revolution that are members of that institute and support that institute that are hardline libertarians. They're not all strict bordertarians.
Yeah, well, I personally like Hans Hermann Hoppe myself.
Yeah.
I like a lot of it. I like Adam Kokesh. That's this immigration is one of the most contentious issues in the libertarian movement right now. And this is my opinion: is that the true libertarian position on borders and immigration and migration is that you want to get the hardcore purists is that we should live in a private property anarcho-capitalist society, and that migration across property borders would be regulated by private property owners, and there'd be no coercive state. You know what I mean? But that's not the society we live in. We live in a democratic welfare state that has forced association laws and lots of public property, and then that leads to conflict. So I don't think that promoting open borders into our present society with the democratic welfare state is a legitimate libertarian position.
Right. Well, I believe that we need to end borders and in the welfare state. So I don't want to give up liberty to have less liberty and then give more liberty. It's a big mess. The immigration debate is always going to be a big mess for us until we can fix the welfare state. I understand that, but I'd like to promote both.
Yeah.
In the welfare state, open the borders.
But I think it has to be a package deal, because if it's not a package deal, you'll just be attracting people into the society that have Marxist ideologies, or like if you want to have a libertarian society, you got to have a supermajority of the people around you that actually want liberty.
Right.
And if you're surrounded by people who are Marxist or theocrats or some other totalitarian type ideology, then I don't think you're going to have a free society.
Well, how about this, Andy?
Yeah.
How about we get into positions to affect change on those those issues first.
Yeah.
And then we'll figure it out from there.
Yeah.
You know, currently we have no say in the immigration debate.
That's true.
You know,
That's
so
true.
We're punching each other in the face over it, and we literally can't do anything about it.
I know.
So at the end of the day, you know, we can sit here and argue about borders all day long. It's not going to change anything for us.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
I want to get people in the state legislative position so they can start affecting change, and then we can talk about immigration and borders. You know, once we have some federal candidates that can talk about it in the media. So.
Okay. Okay. So let's see here. Anything else? What is your website?
So I have the Facebook page is Joshua Smith for LNC Chair 2018, and then I do have a small landing page that has where you can donate to help me travel. I don't know if I said it in the beginning, but this is my 14th state convention in the last 16 weeks. I still have about 5 or 6 more to go. It has been a huge financial drain, but it's been worth it. And that is Joshua Smith, the number 4. LNC.com.
Okay. Okay. Well, I wish you good luck at the convention, and I'm glad you're in the race, and hopefully, we'll see what happens, and may the best candidate win in New Orleans.
Awesome.
Okay. All right. Thanks a lot.